Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with Game 4 of Brawler Bash 2013, my Empire versus a Beastmen list. This was a really fun game, not the least of which is because the guy I'm playing is a subscriber to the channel, and he brought a Beastmen list roughly fashioned after my Beastmen lists, and I think that's awesome. He was actually, he told me right off that he brought the Doom Bowl. I'm like, no, that's my Doom Bowl. I designed that Doom Bowl. Which is probably not true. It's probably on the internet all over the place, but I don't. Anyway, so yeah, we are in a modified dawn attack scenario. So you had to put 2 units in each section of your deployment zone, but you had to choose. It wasn't random. So he's got some Ungor Raiders on the right, some Hounds, a Razor Gore in the far left of this picture, and then he's got a horde of Bestigor. They've got the Totem of Rust, which is -1 to your armor save. So they are Strength 6. And then it's a -4 to your armor save. So that thing will take care of a steam tank and my knights, no problem at all. Matter of fact, there's really nothing I have that can go toe-to-toe with them. I'm going to have to whittle them down first, just try to slow them down. He's got a large bus of Gore. I assume they have extra hand weapon, and they've got 2 shamans with them. One of them brought the Herdstone. And you'll notice one of them brought Lore of the Wild, which I thought that was really interesting because I think it's just an awful lore. But he really likes the spell that you can bring on a monster, and that is it can be a very good spell, and it's a real fun one to play. So I was kind of excited to see that. He has a horde of Ungor, and they're right behind the Herdstone, kind of positioned awkwardly because he can't really wheel around that Herdstone. With him, he has Slugtongue. He brought Lore of the Wild, and so bringing 2 Wizards with Lore of the Wild gives you a much better chance of getting the one spell you want. He's got a chariot, and behind it, that's a Tuskor chariot. Behind him, he's got 6 Minotaurs. One's a champion with Lack and Plate, and then he's got the famous Doom Bowl as well as a Gore Bowl. And the Gore Bowl is given a banner discipline, so that's leadership 9, which is decent leadership for a Minotaur-led army. The problem, of course, is he has this unit all the way to the side, and so he's got a lot of units. Or if nothing else, his best Gore unit is not within range of the general, and certainly not the BSB. Anyway, some more Hounds, some more Ungor Raiders, and behind the Minotaurs, you can't really see him, but he's got a unit of Harpies. He's playing them the way that I play them, which is you keep them behind your Minotaurs, and their job is to make sure your Minotaurs don't get a flank charge, because that's really, with those characters, it's the only way to beat that thing is through combat res, and the Harpies help make sure that doesn't happen. So I had to put a couple units in the far right. So I put some Outriders here. My thinking here is I want them to shoot the chaff that's near the Bestigors and force panic tests on the Bestigors turn after turn. That's all I care about. The Demigryphs, I was initially thinking I could use them on the right to maybe sweep around and take care of his chaff, but then I was like, you know what? No, let's make them have them to where they can come over and help with the main combats. You got the steam tank in the middle. Although again, I don't know. I don't want him with those Bestigors. He's just gonna die. So yeah. But anyway, he's in the middle. Got my knights, my great swords behind him. You notice my halberdiers are way far up there. I'm using the objective card where I can vanguard 1 core unit, and I've got my Archlector and my Battle Standard Bearer in with them. So you'll see what my plans are with them. I've got my Hurricane here in the back lines. They were behind my halberdiers, and the halberdiers were back. Hellblaster, you can see 2 units of archer detachments. There's a Master Engineer, a cannon, and my handgunners, and the far left is my captain on Pegasus. So that's the deployment, and then before we go first, Slugtongue has a special effect where every unit within 36 inches takes damage on a 4-up. It takes D3 wounds, or D3 strength 6 hits, or wounds, I don't know, whatever. If you roll a 6, then they take D6 strength 6 wounds, not hits, wounds. So yeah, that thing rips through my lines. It puts 2 out of 3 wounds on the Cactuses, kills 30% of the handgunners, kills a whole archer detachment on the left, takes 2 out of 3 wounds off my cannon, and kills the Hellblaster. Holy! So that's how it's going to be. Yeah, then it kills 3 of the other 5 archer detachment, kills a knight, kills a few great swords. That thing was just brutal. Oh, Yeah, so when he goes to wound my steam tank, he rolls a 6. So instead of doing D3, he does D6 wounds, and then he rolls a 6. So he puts 6 wounds on my steam tank before I even start the game. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah. So that's what my line looks like now. I really now have no shooting to speak of. I mean, there's a cannon sitting on 1 wound. I'm 1 miscast away, probably from losing that cannon. Miscast, misfire. So Beastmen go first. He moves up, as you can see. He does the low-level amber spear on my steam tank, and I just let it go for fear of other magic spells because it takes him a 4 up to wound, and then it only does D3 wounds. And so, of course, he rolls a 4 up to wound, and then he rolls 3 wounds. So the steam tank is sitting on 9 wounds, and we are at the top of turn 1. Otherwise, these Ungor Raiders on the right are absolute crack shots, or whatever you'd call it with their bows. Oh my gosh. So they move, it's long distance, I'm in woods, so they need a 7 to hit and a 4 to wound, and he actually kills one. So yeah, I don't have to take a panic, thank goodness. We go to Empire turn 1. Everything is as you can see. The big news, I took my Captasis. I know he's sitting on 1 wound, but he's got like a 1 or 2 up armor save. He can take care of these chaff units. I just can't put him in anything big. And I go ahead and do this crazy maneuver. So what I'm thinking is, I've got an Archlector with the Van Horseman Speculum. So I'm thinking I can get in here and tie up and maybe eventually kill his Doom Bull and or his Battle Standard Bearer. His unit's going to do a lot of wounds to my Halberdiers, but I've got enough wounds sitting there that I can really tear this unit, or not tear it apart. He's going to tear me apart, but I can take a lot of wounds off this unit. And even if it costs me my Halberdiers, I think I have a good chance of taking out one of his main characters and get that unit weak enough that should we ever get out of combat, I can pick off characters with cannons or with a night charge or something like that. So thought I'd give it a go. During the magic phase, I get Chain Lightning off. It kills 4 out of 5 dogs. It kills the Razor Gore, kills a bunch of Bestigore, kills some gore, and then it finally dissipates. Now my plan here, again, I need the Bestigores away from here. I don't have anything that's going to be able to handle them anytime soon. So I was hoping, I'm trying to force panic tests on them. So the Razor Gore died. They had to take a panic test. They're only leadership 7, but they pass it. I like that there's only 1 dog there. I can shoot it with my Outriders in the shooting phase. I can force another panic test. And, you're only going to pass a leadership 7 panic test so many times. During the magic phase, these tokens mean that my guys have a 5-up ward save and they're re-rolling to wound. So I'm loving that. I'm thinking, the 5-up ward save, I'm going to save a third of the wounds, and re-rolling to hit because of hatred, re-rolling to wound. I only have a certain number of attacks. I kind of wish I was in horde formation, but yeah, I mean that's going to plan. During shooting, the Outriders kill the dog, but the Bestigore do not. They don't care. They pass their panics on leadership 7. It looks like there's more Bestigore gone. My guess is there's nothing else for the cannon to shoot at, so it put a cannonball through there. And are you kidding me? The Captasis goes into 5 Ungor Raiders and gets bitch slapped. I couldn't believe it. Okay. The only surprise here is that he issued a challenge with his champion, or he accepted it with his champion, which was kind of like, duh, of course he would. So my Archlector kills the champion. He kills a bunch of Halberdiers. The only thing that didn't go according to plan is I really didn't make very many 5-up ward saves. I really thought I would save a lot more than I did. I don't know what the numbers are or should have been or whatever. That was my impression. Regardless, I kill his champion. I kill at least one of the Minotaur and maybe do other wounds. And now we're set up to get a challenge between my Archlector and his Doom Bull. Now, of course, he can always countercharge with those Ungors, and that'll hurt some. But either way, I'm going to lose, and I'm steadfast. So I'm not really worried about losing the Halberdiers. I've already lost my Battle Standard Bearer. It was kind of dumb. If that was my plan to rush these guys up, I should have had my BSB in there. But obviously, when I deployed, I wasn't thinking about it. So, Beastman turn 2. he does what you can see. I think he couldn't countercharge with his Ungors because he was blocked in by the Herdstone. I think that's why I wasn't worried about it. So anyway, otherwise you can really just kind of see what he does. The Chariot that I originally charged, the bounce through his Minotaurs, rallied in the back, so it's doing fine. He flies his Harpies up to block my Knights. Over here he moves his crack shot Ungor Raiders up to pick on my Outriders. I'm just kind of ignoring them because those Outriders, I just want to shoot everything I can at those Bestigors. I figure if I put a cannonball through them and then shoot with the Outriders, I might, just might, cause enough wounds to force a panic test. And if you look at the angle, the nearest enemy unit is my Ungor Raiders, so they're going to run away from them, and they're going to have to pop through his units and have a real good chance of just going off the board because of the formation he's in. So that's what I'm going for there. Yeah, so the crack shots shoot at my Ungors. So they start at base forward. Let's see, they moved and I was in cover, so they were hitting on 6s, wounding on 4s. And of course they killed two of them. I fail my panic and run away right in front of my Demigryph Knights. This combat, yeah, the Archlector and the Doombull are still in a combat, are still in a challenge. I don't think I've done any wounds to him. I think even though I'm using strength 6, he has a 1-up rerollable, so that goes to a 4-up rerollable, and he's just saving them all. And you can see my unit is just getting chopped up. So now my plan is backfired because now all I'm really doing is I'm so dumb, I swear. All I'm really doing is I'm revving up his Minotaurs. So now they started off frenzied. They've now won 2 rounds of combat. They got 3 frenzy markers on them. Yeah, you would think I didn't have any experience with this type of Beastman list. In going for just I think 1 steam point, I misfire, of course. I almost have to misfire, but a lot of the misfire results aren't that bad. But I rolled the one where I take 2d6 strength 2 hits and 2d6 strength 2, and then of course I'd have a 2-up armor save, and not only did I fail 1 and die, I failed 3 of them. Like, some days, yeah. All right, so Empire turn 2. My Knights go ahead and charge the Harpies. I'm moving my 1 unit of archers up just to try to slow down those Bestigor. They are not nearly whittled down enough for my comfort. Yeah, my handgunners charge the dogs on the left. My Outriders rally. I have no idea why I positioned them like that. There are a couple charges. The Hurricanum is there, but I totally forgot to use its benefit because I just all weekend I was forgetting stuff like that. After combat, yeah, the Halberdiers got chewed up. They weren't even steadfast by the time things were done. My Knights won. The problem is that was on my turn. So on his turn, his Minotaurs can charge my Knights. And if he does that, I'm just going to die. So I'm just going to flee that charge if he does it. Beastman turn 3, he charges my Knights. I flee through my Wizard, and I landed safely, but it was close because he easily could have caught my guys. But if I stayed, he was going to just eat them up anyway. Yeah, his Raiders come up to shoot at me a little bit more, and of course, they kill 1. I'm telling you, if they shot like this every game, I would take Ungor Raiders every damn game. These guys were amazing. My Outrider, I assume, passed his panic. Handgunners tied up with the dogs. And then during the magic phase, he brings on a Gorgon. This is so awesome. This is what I love about Beastmen, the fact that it could do something like this. I mean, they kind of meant to be a skirmishing, ambushing army, and a lot of those rules were taken away, but at least with this magic spell, it's very Beastmen-esque. So my Knights are fleeing, so if I fail my rally, I'm going to flee right through the Gorgon and go off the board. And if I don't, I'm going to get charged just right in the face, and probably right in the back by the Minotaurs, so yeah, that should be interesting. Empire turn 3. I position my Outrider so that if he doesn't get killed by the crack shots, he can at least shoot at him and maybe do some harm. During the magic phase, I put a Comet where you see it, and my thinking here is if he charges the Minotaurs into my Knights, I mean, there's nothing I can think of to do to stop that from happening, but if he does it, I'm hoping that Comet will blast him and kill off the unit. I don't know if it'd be enough to kill characters, but if I could kill off the unit, that would at least net me those points. Handgunners and dogs still hanging out. Shoot a cannon, and now he doesn't get a lookout, sir. So I can finally target the Doombull. shoot a cannon through him, hit him, wound him, and only do 3 wounds. But I'm not going to knock it. That's 3 wounds out of, you think I would know, but out of 5 or 6, whatever. Yeah, out of 6 wounds, I think is what he starts with. So Beastman turn 4. His Doom Bowl charges out of the Minotaur unit. Because I think what he's thinking is if the Comet hits the Doom Bowl, it likely won't do any harm to him because of his armor save. And then he just reforms his BSB and the Minotaurs, and they walk away from the Comet. So his Doom Bowl charges my Wizard, I flee, and then he charges the Great Swords in the rear, in the flank. I don't think that's a bad plan at all, because that's what the Minotaur is there for. So, yeah, because my Great Swords are about to get in combat with his core units, and you never know what's going to happen, but they would probably do pretty well. And also with his Doom Bowl in combat, I can't shoot at him. So, yeah, things are looking pretty dicey for the Empire. Crack shots shoot and kill the last Outrider. They should be shooting my Demigryph, so I'm sure they'd kill him. After combat, you know, what happened is probably the best thing possible. He came in, he did impact hits and killed a few guys, but for the most part, he just ate my champion. He won combat, I was stubborn on an 8, and I failed. And then, that was perfect, because if I stayed, he was just going to get revved up and just eat the unit. Now, somehow I was able to do 2 wounds on him. And I just don't remember how that was. It could have been the Comet. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. Anyway, but he's sitting on 5. No, he's not. I'm sorry. He's sitting on 3 wounds. See, I didn't do any wounds to him. The 5 that's his frenzy markers. He is 1 revved up Doom Bowl. So the champion died a very glorious, bloody death. The other guys thought that discretion was the better part of valor. They ran away. At least on my turn, it gives me a chance to shoot the Doom Bowl. Kinda. It's I can see him, but it's gonna be. Anyway. It looks like that. I can't complain. The worst thing about it is that my Great Swords are blocking my Demigryphs. That I was pulling them to the combat to help out where needed. When the Gorgon came on, I thought, perfect, I have the Demigryphs to help out, and now the Great Swords are blocking them. Over here, the handgunners finally killed the last dog, but they're right by the Comet. I think that Comet's going to do more harm to my team than his. Empire turn 4. The Great Swords failed to rally. They needed a 9. And they fled and ran right through my Demigryphs and my Wizard. My Wizard failed. It either failed his panic or didn't rally. Either way, it's almost off. He's almost off the edge of the board. Yeah, things are just falling apart for the Empire. That's like the story of my weekend. There's that. Archers up here blocking the Bestigors. I mean, just why not? But I mean, I don't want the Bestigors in combat, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. During shooting, I finally killed the Doom Bowl, which was awesome. It's like a moral victory. And over here, the frenzy marker means obviously that he's frenzied. He's going to win combat, but I think, yeah, he won combat, but I'm, because I've got a banner, so he's got to do some wounds to me, but it's really hard for him to do wounds against these 1-up armor save knights. And I'm steadfast and I stick. So that's kind of nice. He has 1 wound on him, and whenever he takes a wound, the wizard who casts a spell has to take a toughness test. But he's got Weiss's Wild Form up, so he's toughness. He's only going to fail that on a 6. So Empire turn 4. Yeah, I think this picture is just showing the handgunners shooting at the Minotaurs. I think I'm doing some wounds to him, but it just doesn't really matter. This time I actually won combat. His frenzy marker's off. He just can't get wounds through, and I won probably by a banner, or he did 1 wound and I won by a musician. Either way. Beastman turn 5. His chariot comes to the rear of the knights. Not looking good for them. He reforms the Bestigors to get around my archers. Everything is as you can see. That's a little bit dicey for me, but you know what? Probably I'm going to be steadfast. Not sure what this picture's showing, but there's all that. During the magic phase, turns his wizard into a mountain chimera. This is awesome. He's got 1 wizard who's got this Gorgon on the table. The other wizard's turned into a mountain chimera. Yeah, pretty cool. His crack shots put a wound on my wizard. Of course they do. After combat, I felt pretty lucky. Actually, he did a couple wounds to me, but I'm steadfast and I stick again. I've got a 5-up ward on my guys. I've done 2 wounds to his Gorgon. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy that I stuck. Oh, Beastman turn 5. Something happened with my wizard. He either did wounds some other way, like during the magic phase, or his crack shots killed him, or this is actually Empire turn 5 and I ran off the board. Either way, the wizard's gone. Hurricane and Demigryphs coming both sides of the Gorgon. He's going to be stubborn 9 or 10, and so I just really need to do wounds to him. But I think they have a chance of doing that. My engineer charges the Lonely Ungor Raider. Everything else is as you can see. After combat, yeah, just all those attacks killed the Gorgon. His mage still, I think his mage took 1 wound. He's still sitting on a wound. Everything's fine. I forgot to dispel the Mountain Chimera. What I don't like about that is if he charges, he could charge, I guess, my Hurricanum and force a terror test. I guess the Demigryphs cause fear, so he wouldn't force a test on them. But it's really the terror test that concern me more than anything. If you look on the left, the engineer and his engineers are wimps in combat. I mean, they're 1 attack. So he and the Ungor Raider are just sitting there pillow fighting each other. So there's that. Yeah, my knights, after killing the Gorgon, they reformed to face the chariot. So, yeah, I was really kind of concerned that he'd bring his Ungor Raiders in there and just beat him through combat res. But instead, he brought in his Mountain Chimera, which seems scary, except that during his magic phase, I'm just going to dispel it. So, yeah, so he charged in, as you can see. I think his Minotaurs may have charged him as well and just failed to charge. Then during the magic phase, he brings on the Stone Throwers. This is turn 6, right? So he can't charge anything, but the Stone Thrower guy can throw a stone. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'll let that spell through. I mean, you know, if you throw it, everything is real close and it's going to scatter, you know. So, of course, he aims at my Demigryph's Knights, rolls a complete hit, and kills a Demigryph. Everything. So, awesome plan, awesome model, very fluffy for the game. There's just not a lot of dice love for the Empire. Over here, you'd still notice his Mountain Chimera is now just a wizard. We're in a challenge with my warrior priest with his wizard, and we're just, I think we have 1 wound each. I think I had the wound from before. He has a spell, I think it's +3 attacks, +3 wounds, or +3 strength. So I take it back. I bet you that we were in a challenge with my champion, and he won it. Either way, whatever, it's what it looks like. Empire turn 6, Demigryphs and Hurricanum go into the 1 unit of Gors. Basically, I'm really confident I'm going to win, and he's going to be steadfast on a 7, maybe a 7 rerollable, and either he's going to stick or not, and you know, I might get some points there. Yeah, my biggest concern is I only have 1 wound left on my Hurricanum, and you know, very well he could take that wound off of him, but he doesn't, but he sticks, so he gets those points. We break the chariot from combat, but his wizard's sitting on 2 wounds, and he sticks, so I don't get any of those points. So at the end of it was actually a really fun game. Points wise, Beastman tore it up because he just killed almost my whole army. I literally have an engineer, handgunners, knights, warrior priest, Hurricanum, and Demigryphs, and 1 detachment of archers at half strength. So, I mean, I have some things on it, but he just got the majority of my points. And really, I didn't kill anything of his. I've got half points for Minotaur unit. Took out his Doom Bull, some chaff, but that was it. So, good victory to the Beastmen. Really fun game. And then we roll up game 6, and I roll up another Beastman army with the Doom Bull again. So, hope you enjoyed this game. We'll have a similar game coming up soon.